I'm Deanna, and welcome to another doll repaint video. Hello there! Today we are hitting the runway with some 1960s inspired fashions, but we're doing it Cyclops style. Recently, one of my nephews requested that I make a Cyclops doll, and naturally I love the idea of creating a singular-eyed beauty, and when I asked him what kind of Cyclops it should be, he replied, a Cyclops.
A Cyclops doll. Okay, well, I could make another Greek mythology themed doll, but I'm not sure if I'm finding the right vibe for our little Cyclops.
Until I started looking at some fashion references, and I came across a picture of the 1960s supermodel, Twiggy.
Twiggy was the it girl of late 1960s fashion. This was a time of big hair, short skirts, and bold colors, and I fell in love with the idea of a 1960s mod-style Cyclops girl. One thing I love in particular of that time were the uniforms that the flight attendants would wear. Everything from the boots to the little hats made them seem so cool, and I was tickled by the idea of a crew of 1960s Cyclops flight attendants.
Alright, so let's pack our suitcases, grab our go-go boots, and get ready for our flight. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell button to receive notifications every time I post a new video.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt, and please make sure your folding trays are in the upright position. Thank you for flying Air Cyclops. For our Cyclops flight attendant, I'm using Monster High's resident Cyclops, Iris Clops. Iris is kind of a rare doll, and after purchasing this one off of eBay, I decided she was in way too good of condition to repaint. So I ended up putting this doll on my shelves and got a more run-down version of Iris. This one is still in pretty good condition for a used doll, and I really like the lowlights and highlights of her hair, so I'm going to use her original hair for this transformation. As usual, I'm going to detach her head from her body, but since I'm not going to remove her hair, I'm not going to do my usual hot water soak. Instead, I'm going to heat up the rubber of her head with a hairdryer. The reason I'm still going to detach the head is that it will make it easier for me to paint while doing her face up. Next, I'm using pure acetone to remove her factory face paint. It's a little easier this time since she just has one big eye, although removing the paint between the lips is always a little bit tricky. Now I'm protecting her hair by wrapping it in this sock. The sock will protect the hair from sealant and paint and pastel powders. Today we are keeping her natural green color. So after giving the head 3 coats of sealant, we're going to jump right into the shading. I'm starting by applying purple to the lower portion of the face. This part of the face usually has a cool tone color palette, and the purple color is cool in tone and complements the green skin color. Now I'm contouring the recessed areas of her face using a darker green color. Adding shadows like this gives the face realistic depth and dimension. I like to do this by blending a couple different shades of soft pastels together, working from a lighter shade to darker ones. After contouring, I sprayed her face with Mr. Super Clear Sealant to preserve the shading. Now I want to give her skin a more realistic touch by applying freckles for skin texture. For this, I'm taking watered down acrylic paint and lightly spraying it on with a toothbrush. I'm giving her brown and green freckles, making sure to clean off her eye after each spray and dabbing any freckles that are a little too strong. After sealing the freckle layer, I'm giving her some red-orange blush. The orange looks good with her skin tone and will pair well with the color of her future outfit. Blushing goes really well on the cheeks, of course, but I also like to apply it to the jawline and temples because, like contouring, this also gives the doll's face a look of dimension. Now let's get started on her face-up's main attraction, her eye. I'm blocking the eye in with a watercolor pencil, and I'm drawing it with a half-shut lid so that I can have enough eyelid space to add her 1960s makeup. So I had to think about how I wanted to do her tear ducts. I could give her 2 tear ducts, one in each corner, or just a singular one in one corner of her eye. But finally, I decided that both options would look kinda off, so I decided not to give her any tear ducts. Let's talk makeup. I'm going to give her this iconic 1960s eye makeup look. The eyeshadow was usually white or blue because the main attraction of the look were the lashes and the eyeliner. I've decided to go with the white eyeshadow for her makeup, and I'm using a watercolor pencil as a first application on the eyelid going up to the crease. Speaking of the crease, this look sports a very dramatic eyeliner look in the crease of the eye. I'm prepping for the liner by blending brown tones in the crease and lightly blocking in the liner with brown pencil. I'm also giving her white eyeliner on her lower waterline because this was pretty common for the time. I'm also going ahead and giving her a bit of shading underneath the lash line. Time to start darkening the crease liner. Taking black soft pastels, I'm lining and blending the color out, going into the sides of her lid to make the lid appear rounder. Next, I'm bringing a little bit of gold paint into her eye makeup. This isn't a 60s thing, but I think the gold will really complement the whole face up. Now I want to line the upper lash line. Now this liner is just as important to the look as the crease liner was. In the 60s, the liner was done in the cat eye style with strong liner and prominent wings on each eye. For this Cyclops look, I'm going to have to balance the wings out by drawing them on both sides of her eye. Next up is her iris. Iris Clops has a green eye, so I decided to make the flight attendant's eye green as well. I'm applying the base green color to the whole pupil, but I'm also going to take a darker green and apply it to the top of the iris and blend it out towards the bottom. Now let's do the lower lash liner. The model Twiggy used to draw on thick individual bottom eyelashes, and this look really caught on in the 60s. So, to go with the times, I'm going to draw on some thick Twiggy lashes. Jumping back to her iris, I'm adding some white paint where I want the pupil and texture lines to be. Once they're dry, I'll paint over them and the white will make the new colors really pop. And it's catch lights time. I'm giving her a little bit extra because she has the eye space for it. Next up are some tweaks and touch-ups, and part of that is making her bottom lashes stand out more with paint. In the 60s, nude or coral lipsticks were pretty popular, and I decided to go with the coral color to go with her outfit. I'm lining and shading the sides of the lips to give them a really pouty look. Once the lips are done, our face-up will be complete. Iris Clops doesn't have eyebrows, and I think that's the right call aesthetically. So our flight attendant is going to stay browless. Just like on her face, we are going to apply purples and greens for shading on her body with orange-red blushing. Shading will really emphasize the creases and the curvature of the various areas of the body. Most of her body will be covered by her outfit, but it just feels wrong not to shade her head to toe, you know? Next up are the freckles, and I'm going in with brown and green to keep a cohesive look with her face up. Time to apply the red-orange blush to make her look like a living and breathing Cyclops. The orange looks really strong with this first application, but it will calm down a bit after applying Mr. Super Clear Sealant, and it will look like a natural part of her skin. Let's get her into my styling chair and start playing with her hair. First up, I need to comb it out and iron it so it's smooth before I start styling. I want to give her a big, beautiful bouffant hairstyle, so now I'm sectioning the hair and clipping the front section out of the way. For the back section, I want to give it a lot of volume. Off camera, I tried back combing the hair to give some volume, but that did not work out for me. Instead, I'm now taking half of a styrofoam ball and gluing it onto her head. I've unclipped the front section, and now I'm playing with the hair, trying to figure out how to style it while not having the styrofoam ball show. I decided on pulling a section of hair into a ponytail and kind of like scrunching the hair to achieve more volume in her bouffant. Next up is styling the lower portion of her hair. A lot of bouffants are shorter and flipped out, so I gave her hair a trim, and with my hair iron, I'm working on getting that perfect hair flip. Now I want to give her one last bombshell touch, and that's fake eyelashes. I have these doll-size ones that will work great for one large eye. I've applied a thin line of glue and I'm pressing them to be flush against her lid. Then I'm going to trim off the excess hanging from the sides. Okay, I'm really excited to talk about her flight attendant uniform. While I was doing research, I came across this flight attendant's uniform. I instantly gravitated towards a vibrant orange color with a stripe around the collar and down the center. I've made my own long-sleeved version, and now I'm adding white ribbon down the center of the dress. I'm also going to add it around the collar, and I'm going to add it around the bottom of the dress as a trim. Flight attendants of that time wore a variety of hats, and I'm kind of obsessed with them. For my flight attendant, I'm making her a round pillbox hat out of cardstock. I cut out 2 small circles and glued them together. Now I'm wrapping a thin strip around the circle and gluing it into place. I've let the glue dry, and now I'm cutting some fabric in a circle that's large enough to stretch to the inside of the hat. I've applied glue to the top of the hat, and I'm placing it in the center of the circle of fabric. After trimming the fabric down a bit, I'm snipping the fabric all around the circle so that I can fold the fabric over the bottom of the cardstock. I'm applying glue all around the sides and then clipping it into place and letting it dry overnight. Next up are her shoes. For her swinging 60s look, I'm going for some knee-high boots made of the same fabric I used for the dress. To make the boots, I'm using a moonlight jewel pattern and 3D printed heel bases. On a mannequin, I'm sewing the boots inside out and stopping before I get to the heel portion of the pattern so I can turn the fabric out and put them on my actual doll. So apparently I lost the footage of this, but once the boots were on, I attached the soles to her feet and wrapped the soles with the excess fabric. To clean the boots up a bit, I'm adding more of the white ribbon as trim and up the back seam. Now it's time for her to get dressed and to put her back together. Here, I'm trying to be really careful while putting her head back on so I don't crush her hairdo. Off camera, I attached a pin to her hat, and now I'm placing it slightly to the side of her head. As a fun touch, I made her a pair of pilot wings to wear in her dress. The center is a little eyeball because this is Air Cyclops after all. I also made her this circular suitcase. In a lot of photos I saw, 1960s flight attendants had these matching circular suitcases to go with their outfits. I decided that my doll had to have one too, so I made a suitcase that can open and close and hold all of her outfits. If you want to see how I made this suitcase, I put out a whole video tutorial so you can see in full detail how to construct your own. And here are the end result photos of our Air Cyclops flight attendant. I know it sounds cheesy, but I can't help but smile when I look at her. I was worried that the classic 1960s eye makeup wouldn't translate as well on just one eye, but I think she really captures the feel of that time period. I love the idea of playing with other iconic makeup looks, and if you have any ideas for Class F makeup styles I should try, let me know in the comments. You know, I love trying new things and learning new techniques, and like with all my other dolls, she gave me some new materials to play with, like her factory hair. It seems almost strange that this is my first repaint that I used the original hair with. And if I had to pick between working with factory hair or yarn hair wefts, I'd have to pick the yarn hair wefts because they give me a little bit more control. But I'm still really happy with her bouffant, and I like that I got to incorporate the doll's original braid into the look. She looks so cute and cool in her little orange uniform, and I think it really complements her skin tones. I'm also really happy that I was able to sew a dress that looks like the 1960s inspiration. As you may or may not know, I started sewing at the end of 2020, so each piece that I make always has a bit of a learning curve. But that's one of the things that makes me the happiest in life, continuing to learn, grow, and improve on new skills.
So if you want to continue on this journey of creating crazy dolls and learning new skills with me, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Alright, we're about to take off, but I will see you next time with another doll repaint video. Bye! Hi! Hi!